And I felt myself going. I was in a great deal of pain. It was a very frightening experience. But I began to slip. I just started to feel myself going. And I remember trying to hold on. I'll be okay, I'll be okay. And it got to the point where I just couldn't. And everything began to just become very quiet. And I can remember with every ounce of strength I had, I wanted to say goodbye to my wife. It was important to me. And I did. I remember just turning my head, looking at her and saying, I'm going to die. Goodbye, John. And I did. It was then that I experienced what we call a near-death experience. For me, there was nothing near about it. It was there. It was a total immersion in light, brightness, warmth, peace, security. I did not have an out-of-body experience. I did not see my body or anyone about me. It just immediately went into this beautiful, bright light. It's difficult to describe. Matter of fact, it's impossible to describe. Verbally, it cannot be expressed. It's something which becomes you, and you become it. I could say that I was peace. I was love. I was the brightness. It was part of me. I had no recollection of anything, anything biological. It's not like you could see something, because your sight is biological. It's necessary here. A hearing is necessary here. A speech is necessary here. It's not there. You just know. You're all-knowing. Everything is a part of you. And it's just so beautiful. It was eternity. It's like I was always there, and I will always be there. That my existence on earth was just a very brief instant. It's a hard concept to understand, eternity, because when you compare it to time, time requires progression. Things, see a sequence of things. Things follow each other. This is all at once, everything. There's no passing from one thing to another. I'd like to call it a different dimension, but can't really call it that, because that could be defined, and there are different dimensions. They have beginnings and ends, and so that doesn't fit. It was at least 6 months after the incident that I could even speak to my wife about it. It was such an emotional, beautiful, swelling feeling inside that every time I tried to express it, I think I would just explode. I would break down and cry. And she, for the longest time, couldn't figure out what was wrong with me.
Well, she must have wondered a lot then about how you were dealing with this episode, because she, as you say, is a nurse and knew the seriousness of your condition, and I guess also knew that you had, again, this is the case, that you had clinically died.
Yes, my heart stopped. I stopped breathing. And I guess I was out about a minute, and they brought me back. The minute I came back, the pain returned immediately, the fear. I mean, I just...
all the human emotion.
Yes, everything human came back. And I remember being very angry. They brought me back. And my wife ended up asking me a while later, you seemed angry, how come? And I just couldn't tell her. That was probably the most frustrating 6 months of my existence. After experiencing perfection in something so beautiful, I wanted to hold on to it. Didn't want to let it go. And it wasn't easy. After I had recovered the second time and went home, everything just seemed to change. It was almost like I was starting my life all over again. I was a baby. I hadn't made the mistakes that I had made in my life. Things weren't messed up or whatever. And I can recall in my attempt to hold on to this feeling and to hold on to this peace, I began to bump into earthly things, that of course aren't going to escape from you. They're there. My first frustrating experiences with the television. I couldn't watch television. There would be a commercial, a cosmetic commercial. I couldn't. I'd have to turn it off because it was something false. It was unnecessary. It was fake. It just didn't belong. It was insignificant. Any type of violence. If there was even an old Western movie, I'd have to turn it off because to me that was total ignorance. There was just no reason on earth to show people killing people. That was frustrating, especially when the family's sitting down trying to watch television and Dad gets up and turns it off all the time. So I finally just learned to go to my room. It got to the point where I had a great deal of time readjusting. And it was at that time, I have a very, very close friend who's a priest, we call him Father Bob, who sat down with me a few times and very understanding. He was a man that I know did not experience what I did, but he seemed to know. He knew what I was talking about. Very understanding. And perhaps the most important thing he did for me was to help me to readjust, to accept life, to understand that you are living, that, that is there, it will come again, and that there is much more here, and that I was here for a reason. And it did help. I'm back to watching television.